Hello everyone, welcome to another GW2 build. This is Tempest from Team Paradigm, and this time I have a warrior build for you, which is the updated version of the Armored Eviscerate warrior. It is now called the Vigorous Eviscerate because it no longer has as high of armor, because it no longer uses that straight line. The concept is still the same, using swap sigils of Doom and Intelligence to get a strongly boosted Eviscerate off every roughly 10 seconds whenever the adrenaline bar is fully charged. Along with that, using the trait Vigorous Shouts to make your shouts heal. And this basically creates a warrior who is capable of dealing very high spike damage as well as staying alive for a longer time due to being able to heal, as well as just having the high survivability that warriors have, even more so. So the weapon sets, axe, shields is still the same. Basically, axe in every hand is what's needed in order to do the sigil swap to Eviscerate. This gives you your shop, double shop, triple shop auto attack, which is very strong, and because it allows you to hit 6 times in a relatively short time, which is very good for auto attacking, since more hits means more crit procs. Just overall, it's better to multi-hit always. They might have ages which you need to get rid of before an Eviscerate, or before you use a setup stun, etc. Cyclone Axe spins around and attack only by foes. Basically, this applies 4 stacks of vulnerability, which equals up to 120 minus armor. That is a lot, and I strongly suggest that you use this skill right before using your Eviscerates, because minus 120 armor is significant enough to matter. It can easily change your 10k Eviscerate into nearly 11k, for example. Next, Throw Axe is great for catching up to your foe as well as crippling and then running away. Shield Bash, this is one of your setup skills. You basically want to use Shield Bash to stun right before you hit your weapon swap and then use Eviscerate. This makes sure that they can't just dodge out of it, and if you're quick enough, the stun should be there, so they actually need a stun breaker in order to avoid your Eviscerate. Next up, Shield Stance blocks incoming attacks for 3 seconds. Basically immunity to everything for 3 seconds, allows you to stall for your heal, for example, allows you to stall for a control skill like Shield Bash. Great skill in general. Second set, Axe is the same. Mace, this changed from the previous builds. Basically, the previous build had Warhorn because that allows you to have a very mobile warrior, since you can have swiftness up relatively almost all of the time, not quite. The reason why I took Mace is because this build started to become more of a capture point defense build rather than actually capping a point, since this would not require mobility, and instead you can really make use of all of your control effects and your buffs and healing shouts to keep your team around you alive. So Mace is much better fitting. Crushing Blow applies 4 stacks of vulnerability. Now if you paid attention what I said, Cyclone Axe also applies 4 stacks of vulnerability. Together that's minus 240 armor. So say you're in this set, what you should do is you use your Throw Axe to get near, use Cyclone Axe to get the first vulnerability off, use Crushing Blow to get your second vulnerability off, then you use this skill, Tremor, sends a wave towards your foe that knocks down foes in a line. This skill actually travels along the path of your foe, so if he bends off in an angle, the shockwave will also follow it in an angle. It's very hard to avoid this wave because the speed is relatively fast, its animation is not as clear, so unless they really dodge properly, this skill will hit with a 2-second knockdown. Now, this is basically the same concept as Shield Bash. You just use it to set up before you swap to your other weapon set and use a strong Eviscerate. Combine that with the vulnerability stacking from Crushing Blow and Cyclone Axe, and you now have very strong spike potential as well as control potential, because you have a stun and or knockdown on each set, as well as a ranged cripple. For your utility skills, Mending is, I think, still the best heal for warriors. It's 20-second recharge, which is the quickest. It heals for a significant amount. I think it's actually the same as the Signet. And it also removes 2 conditions, which is very highly wanted, since warriors generally lack condition removal, and since you're a melee-only build, you have to keep yourself clean quite often, and Mending helps do that. Shake It Off is a 20-second recharge shout, which now heals due to your trade. It also removes a condition from you and nearby allies, and it also breaks stun. So you are basically very hard to keep kited. Like, you can remove conditions relatively fast due to Mending as well as Shake It Off, and you also have a stun breaker every 25 seconds. Plus it helps your team quite a lot since you both heal them and remove conditions from them. It also breaks stuns from allies when it's used, so you can actually save an ally with it if you time it right, which is very good in team play. Bull's Charge, I was considering changing this for Kick, because Kick is a 20-second recharge, and it's a very fast animation, so it was quite easy to use as a interrupt for heals. But I really think that this build is in need of that long distance charge, and it's also 2-second knockdown, which is better than the knockback from Kick, as well as if you kick them away from you, it can often, well, not often, but it sometimes can be worse than actually them, because you create distance that you have to cross again, which you generally do with an Eviscerate, and then it leaps. But you can't always do that, and then you create distance, which allows them to out-kite you even better. Bull's Charge, much more solid. You close the distance, knock them down, and it basically gives you another way to set up your Eviscerate, like Bull's Charge, swap, Eviscerate. Forgery Justice is basically your team buff skill. You grant 8 seconds of Fury as well as 3 stacks of Might for 25 seconds, and it also heals allies due to the trait. I suggest using this almost on recharge. You can basically keep your team buffed, as well as you get more healing on of it than waiting for a correct time to use it, like right before an Eviscerate. In general, you want to use your shouts as much as possible, both Shake It Off and for Great Justice, but you don't want to waste them completely. Like, Shake It Off, it's a stun breaker, it's your only stun breaker. If you know your opponent's build slightly, you know when to expect a stun. Like, don't just use Shake It Off just because it's up and you want to heal. It's actually worth more if you break out of a stun, because you avoid more damage. And here is what else changed. The Elite is now Battle Standard. Now, this is due to it being a less mobile build and more focused around defending a point. You basically place the standard on the point when a large fight is going to happen or is happening, and it grants you and all allies both stability, well, not both, stability, fury, and might constantly, as well as it revives fallen allies. Basically, when you're downed, you have that health meter that ticks down. Now, when you're in range of battle standards, it actually starts regenning, as if, I think it's equal to the number 4 skill on the down bar, which is Help Me, which basically allows you to get your health back up as long as I don't cancel it. Now, battle standards helps rezzing, and it continues even though you take damage. So it basically allows you to sometimes get back up even though that you're alone and you're down. which is great. But the main reason why you take it is because you get stability as well as fury. It's a great skill. Also, if you pick up a banner, you get a variety of skills. One of them is an AoE swiftness, I believe. You get a charge as well, which is sort of like the Greatsword 5 skill, where you just storm straight ahead until you hit something, basically. And you can plant it down again, of course, and it also has an auto attack, which is not that great. So you can use Battle Standard to buff your team quite strongly. For traits, Tendon Strength for the trait Restorative Strength. Using a heal skill, remove Weakness, Cripple, Freeze, and Immobilize. This basically creates a full clean skill. Well, it makes your Mending a full clean skill because you already remove 2 conditions with it. And damages foes at the end of a dodge roll is not that significant, but it helps. Tactics, 30 points for this trait, Shouts Heal. The number 1 skill, or trait rather, is Lag Specialist. Causes 1 second of immobilize whenever you cripple a target. Each of your weapon set has Throw Axe, which is a ranged cripple. Now it's also a ranged immobilize for 1 second, so you can now use it to set up your Eviscerates as well. It's not as solid as a stun, so the shield badge, but it works. Usually what I do is I tend to use my stuns for Eviscerate, and then I use Throw Axe to stay in range when you use Cyclone Axe, because Cyclone Axe roots you in place for the animation. The other trait is Lung Capacity, which is 25% faster shot cooldown, which basically means more healing, more buffing, more stun breaks, and more condition removals. The minor traits are Determined Revival, gain extra armor while reviving. Helps, but it's not that significant. Fast Healer increases revive speed by 10%. It's actually noticeable quite a bit, and it allows you to out-res stomps quite a lot easier than it is normally, because it seems like the game is really timed around. If you stomp as soon as someone goes down and you res at the same time, the stomp is always faster. So you need to interrupt the stomp, but with this trait you are sometimes fast enough. So if they wait only like 1 second before starting to stomp and you are resing immediately when they go down, you actually revive them before their stomp finishes. Reviver's Might, grant might to nearby allies when you revive someone. It helps, but again, it's not really the best minor traits for Warrior. Discipline, this is basically what drives your swap Eviscerate engine. Versatile Rage, gain 5 strikes of adrenaline on weapon swap. You want to swap every 5 seconds, which you can do because of this trait, Fast Hands, minus 5 second recharge on weapon swap. So just swap as soon as you can, and you gain enough adrenaline to get full adrenaline every 10 seconds, which is the recharge of Eviscerates. Inspiring Charge, gain adrenaline when using a shout, so you now have shouts every 19 seconds, or well 20 seconds, 20 seconds. So this helps you again get that full adrenaline bar every 10 seconds, which is possible due to these traits. Mobile Strikes, movement skills break immobilization. This includes skills like Shield Bash, your Eviscerate, Bull's Charge, basically all those skills that you need to land, like your control effects now break immobilize, which is pretty much a requirement for a melee only build, since immobilize really wrecks a melee build if you can't remove it enough. Versatile Power, gain might for 10 seconds on weapon swaps. It's not that much, it's only 1 might, but it of course helps. It's more damage, which you can obviously use. Adrenaline Reserves, burst skills cost less adrenaline, and basically when you use a fully charged Eviscerate, it now leaves you with 1 full block of adrenaline, and there's 3 blocks, like 3 stages, I mean. So it only consumes 2 stages instead of all 3. For gear, Runes of Divinity, plus 60 to all stats, plus 18% crit damage, which is why you use it. Sigils of Doom and Intelligence on both weapon sets. Amulet is Valkyrie, which was new. from this beta weekend, which actually fits perfectly in this build. 15% crit damage, plus 284 healing power, which helps boost your shouts, and plus 798 power, which is basically what you need to deal your damage, and you get some toughness as well, which basically you already gain plus 300 vitality from the tactics straight line, so you don't really need more vitality, so getting more toughness is always great as well. Since you have a healing build, the higher your armor is, the more each point of health it's worth, because it takes more damage to bring it down. So the combination of healing power and toughness is always great, which is why I find this set so perfect for this build. You get crit damage, power, toughness, and healing. The gem is also Valkyrie, which also gives those 4 stats. So that was the build. It's more control oriented, it's more defensive oriented, as in standing on a point, less mobile, but the concept is still the same. I have tested it, not as much as I would have liked, but I find that it works quite well. It actually works very well because of the new amulet and gem, which for me it seemed to be made for this build almost. But we'll see if it still stands in the next beta weekend, since the original Armored Eviscerate build was completely changed as well. So I hope you enjoyed this build. I wish you lots of fun using it, because I had a lot of fun, and see you for the next Guild Wars 2 builds. This was Tempest from Team Paradigm. See you around.